Hi, boys and girls. So today I'm going to read a story. We've read this one before and it's one of my favorites. You guys really liked it too. So we're going to read it again. I'm going to read it to you. So you have two options. Either you can watch the video because I'm going to read it, but you can also find the story on Epic and I'm going to push it out to you on Epic. So whichever one you want to do, or if you want to watch it both times, it's up to you. Okay, but keep watching while I give you directions. And if you want to go watch it on Epic, once I'm done giving directions, then you can go to Epic. Okay? The first thing we're going to do after we're done reading is we're going to imagine that Farmer Brown says no. And I'm telling you this because I know we've already read the story. There are some ducks in the story, and they ask Farmer Brown for a diving board. As we're reading, I want you to imagine that Farmer Brown says no. Imagine that he tells them, no, you can't have a diving board. So then you are going to pretend to be a duck, and you're going to write a letter to Farmer Brown from the ducks. So if he says, no, you can't have a diving board, you and your ducks are going to write him a letter, and you're going to start with, Dear Farmer Brown. We call that a salutation when we're writing letters to people. So we start on the end, we capitalize our D, and we write, Dear Farmer Brown. Now we need to capitalize Farmer Brown also because that's his name. So Dear Farmer Brown, comma. Then we leave a space, a blank line, so we skip a line, and then if we don't get a diving board, and you're going to finish that letter, what's going to happen? Farmer Brown just said no to the ducks. What's going to happen? You're going to use your imagination, and you're going to tell us, what are the ducks going to do if Farmer Brown doesn't give them a diving board? When you're done with your letter, you're going to skip a line again, and then you're going to write sincerely, comma, and you're going to sign it with your name. So you're going to write your name down here. Okay? So that's one thing you're going to do after you're done reading the story. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to look for details. So we're going to use our details flower. Remember, in the middle, we draw a circle and we put the title of the story. Click, clack, moo, cows that type. Remember to capitalize the first letter of every word because it's the title of the story. And then you're going to draw, I did 6 petals to the flower, so that means I'm going to look for 6 details. I'm going to say you need to do at least 5. So you don't have to do all 6, but you need to do at least 5 details. So remember, details are important facts from the story, not just any old fact, because we don't want to know just like anything from the story. We have to look for important parts of the story. So I suggest you start from the beginning and you look at what's the most important thing that happens in the beginning. And then what's the most important thing that happens after that? And after that, and after that, and after that, and after that. Okay? So go in order and look for the most important details. Okay, and that's going to be your assignment for language arts. You're going to write a letter to Farmer Brown, and you're going to look for important details in the story. So pay close attention. And if you need to go back and watch the video, go back and watch the video. Remember, good readers always reread. We have to go back and look for evidence. Okay, we have to make sure that what we're putting down on our paper is really in the story and we're not just making it up. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to start reading the story. If you want to go watch it on Epic, go watch it on Epic. If you want to hear it twice and you want to hear it first from me, and then you want to go watch it on Epic, that works too. Okay, here we go. So our genre is fantasy. That means that this is nonfiction, but not only could this not happen in real life, not only is it fake, but like it could never happen. It's so fake that it could never happen. It's fantasy. It's very make-believe. Our essential question is, how can we work together to make our lives better? Read about how some smart cows and hens get what they want. So again, this goes with our theme. How do we help each other make our lives better? How do the cows and the animals and the hens and all of them, how do they all help each other to make their lives better? Click, Clack, Moo, Cows That Type by Doreen Cronin, illustrated by Betsy Lewin. Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. At first, he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible. Click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. Would you believe it? I wouldn't. Like, what? Then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. And look, this follows the format that you're going to have to follow. Dear Farmer Brown, and then you're going to write your message and then write sincerely and sign with your name. So what do the cows want? Think about some details. There are some details here. What do the cows do? What do they want? It was bad enough the cows had found the old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets? No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. So the cows went on strike. They left a note on the barn door. Sorry, we're closed. No milk today. So they didn't get what they wanted, so now they're on strike. That's another detail, right? What do they ask for? No milk today, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. The next day, he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. Some details. How are the cows helping the hens? The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. Closed. No milk, no eggs. Uh-oh. Poor Farmer Brown. No eggs, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard them. Click, clack, moo. Click, clack, moo. Clickety, clack, moo. What are they saying now? What are they going to say? Cows that type? Hens on strike? Whoever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. Furious. He's so mad. Furious. Farmer Brown got out his typewriter. Like instead of computers, they used to use typewriters before. Farmer Brown got out his typewriter. Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown. Duck was a neutral party. Neutral party means he's not picking a side. He's not with Farmer Brown, but he's not with the cows either. He's in the middle. He doesn't have a side. Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. An ultimatum means like, you do this or... What did Farmer Brown do? The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door, and we will send Duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows. Farmer Brown decided this was a good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door and waited for Duck to come with the typewriter. You guys know what's happened. What's coming next? The next morning, he got a note. Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks. Click, clack, quack. Click, clack, quack. Clickety, clack, quack. And in the end, we see them getting their diving board. Why do you think Farmer Brown ended up giving them a diving board? What do you think? So now you're going to tell me in your letter, if Farmer Brown had said no to the ducks, what do you think they would have done? So you have to use your imagination now, and you're going to write a letter. Dear Farmer Brown, if we don't get a diving board, what's going to happen? Sincerely, and then sign with your name. And then again, on the other side, you're going to look for some important details in the story. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning. We have to go back in our book and see what happened. So Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type all day long. He hears click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. At first, he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type, impossible. So what do we find out in the beginning? What's the first detail? Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. So that's the first thing we find out. That's the first important part of our story, our first important detail. So Farmer Brown has cows that type. Right? That's the first thing we learn. Then we hear, then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. So what is the next thing that happens? He gets a letter from the cows, and they're asking for electric blankets. So we know in number 2 that the cows write a letter for blankets. Now, I'm writing it kind of long, boys and girls, but you don't have to make it as long as me. And these don't have to be complete sentences, okay? You could write something like, the cows want blankets, or the cows write him a letter. And then you're going to look for 1, 2, 3, 4 more things that happen in the story. If you want to add more details, I wouldn't add too many more, maybe like 1 more. Maybe you can do 7 details, but that's about it. Okay? So go ahead and take a picture of this for me and post it on Dojo. Thank you.